Param Shanti. This is a conversation between Bapuji and Anantji. In this video, Bapuji will answer the question, what is self-realization and God realization? Anantji says, Param Shanti Bapuji, welcome. I would like to discuss a new topic today, self-realization and God realization. In the world today, there are many concepts and knowledge about the soul and God. But we would like to find out the truth about it from you. People believe that God is energy. They do not know the source of energy, so they call it God. For example, if we look at how the universe was created, people don't know the source of the energy that created it and how it was created. So they call this energy God. So according to you, what is God realization? Bapuji says, there are two kinds of knowledge. One is knowledge of the soul, the other is knowledge of God. In olden times, sages used to awaken the power of their consciousness through self-realization. They believed that the body is matter and their consciousness is the energy that flows through it. They went into the Himalayan caves for penance in order to awaken their consciousness through awakening their chakras and opening their third eye. In the Bhagavad Gita, God refers to that energy as the soul. The Almighty Authority said through Krishna, become soul conscious and remember me, and I will destroy all your negative karma, and in the end, I will take you to the supreme abode. In those times, the soul was called energy or consciousness, and today, scientists call it energy. Anantji says, not only scientists, but people abroad also call it energy. Bapuji replies, everyone calls it energy. In our scriptures, energy is power of consciousness. There are two types of energy. One type of energy is called para, which means knowledge of the spirit or cosmos. The other type of energy is called apara, which is knowledge of matter. So what is the power of consciousness? To awaken the power of the consciousness within the soul, sages chanted Om. In soul consciousness, they meditated to awaken their chakras, starting from the first lower Muladhara chakra, then taking the energy upwards towards their upper chakras. Our scriptures contain a number of different theories about attaining the power of the consciousness. Some people chanted Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am Brahm, meaning I am the light form of God. Others believe God is light, or the light of the whole world. For self-realization, people worshipped the light form of God and believed that I am a soul, hence I am God. It is written in our scriptures that a soul can become God. Anantji says, God is omnipresent and is everywhere, as everything is made up of energy, and the source of that energy is God. Hence, God is everywhere, in humans and animals. Bapuji, what do you say about this concept? Bapuji replies, God is omnipresent. He is in the air and in every atom, as it is known as the God particle. Let me give you an example. If there is God in cats and dogs, then why do they have animal behavior? If there is God in humans, then why do they commit crimes such as stealing, hurting, and deceiving others? What is the meaning of God? Anantji says, truth, auspicious, and beautiful. Bapuji replies, God is the truth, auspicious, and beautiful. When humans chant Shivoham, Shivoham, which means I am God, then shouldn't they have the same qualities as God? In the past, the powers of God consisted of supreme elements. When Lord Shiva created the solar system through Brahma, he created supreme beings made of supreme elements. Those supreme beings descended into the physical world, and how that happened is explained in my other videos. One must understand this before self-realization. Anantji says, before God realization, one must have self-realization. One must know the answers to who am I, where have I come from, which elements are my body made of, what inner possibilities do I have. Bapuji, is it possible to find these answers through meditation? Bapuji replies, meditation means connection. What do you connect with? In the scriptures, it says to focus on opening your chakras. There are many different types of meditation in the world today. We focus on Raj Yoga, which means to find out all the secrets to connect with God, such as who is the creator of the solar system, how did he create it, and why did he create it, who am I? Self-realization means finding out who I am. There is a very big difference between self-realization and God-realization. At the present time, there are so many different religious leaders and so many different religious groups. Then how will God-realization happen? Anantji says, some people claim that self-realization and God-realization are the same thing. Bapuji replies, our scriptures state that sages used to recite Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am God. They considered themselves God and did not remember and connect with the Almighty Authority. They awakened their divine powers by concentrating on their forehead between their eyebrows. Some used to concentrate on their breathing to become thoughtless and to still their minds. However, they didn't manage to realize their souls. After years and years of penance, sages were able to take their astral bodies out of their physical bodies, but even then they could not attain God-realization. Self-realization and God-realization are not easy tasks to accomplish. Look around at how many religious groups there are today that are preaching God's knowledge, but how many of them give an accurate introduction of God? Anantji says, Bapuji, people believe God is light and that he exists in humans and animals. He is omnipresent. This is the problem. Bapuji replies, all of this is God's creation. Anantji says, so they are not God themselves. Bapuji replies, as I told you, if a human is a thief or a criminal, then is he God? Anantji says, no. Bapuji replies, Shiv of our solar system created a very pure creation through Lord Brahma. However, over time, these angel-like souls became powerless and transformed into deities. They slowly descended further to become humans, and even fell below this into the births of 84 lakh forms of lives like animals and insects. So the existence of the mortal world and the circle of birth and death in the 8.4 million forms of life started. Anantji says, but Bapuji, people are adamant that they are not separate from God and that God is not far away from them. God is them and they are God. They are one. Bapuji replies, people believe that whatever God is, that is what I am. They say Shivoham, Shivoham and Aham Brahmasmi, which means I am God. They believe that the soul is God. However, the truth is that the soul is a different entity to God. It is a creation of God. Anantji says, but Bapuji, through your divine knowledge, you teach us to become supreme souls of the infinite world. At present, we have become humans on earth. But the reality is that souls that attain self-realization are equal to the level of Shiv, Mahashiv, Paramahashiv, etc. Bapuji replies, first, a soul must attain self-realization. It must believe that he is a soul which resides in the forehead between the eyebrows. When it attains soul consciousness, then it can understand which category it belongs to and where it has come from. Is it from the galaxy, universe, multiverse, or beyond? The meaning of self-realization is knowing yourself and having knowledge of your soul. Let's not talk about God-realization at the moment. So when does self-realization occur? It occurs when one realizes that it is a soul and becomes soul conscious. This happens when an individual is a karma yogi and leads a normal family life doing normal deeds. I never give permission for anyone to leave their families to go to the jungle to do penance. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that leading a normal family life and fulfilling your normal household duties is the best way of connecting with God. Anantji says, But Bapuji, to attain self-realization, the first thing an individual must do is go beyond its mind and into the world of the soul. An individual is so happy in the world of their mind that why would it leave it to enter the world of the soul? Bapuji replies, to go to the world of the soul, one will have to close the world of their mind. Anantaji says, one cannot even leave their mobile phone for an hour. So how will it attain self-realization? Bapuji replies, high-quality supreme souls that belong to the highest supreme abode are in search of self-realization and God-realization since childhood. They are in search of knowledge of the infinite world and are not satisfied with knowledge of Shiv, Mahashiv, Paramahashiv, universes and multiverses. They need knowledge of the infinite world. So these souls, even when living normal lives, are very high-quality souls. They go to great lengths and work very hard to attain self-realization. Anantaji says, so is self-realization possible for human beings? Bapuji replies, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna teaches us to connect with God while living at home with your family doing your normal deeds. Know yourself and that you are a soul and know me. First, attain self-realization and know that you are a soul through experiencing soul consciousness. The soul contains the mind contains intellect, and within intellect there are values. The soul has become full of negativity, hence values have become darker. The soul has become body conscious and remains like that all day, making it difficult to get away from the mind. Anantaji says, that is why hard work is required. Bapuji replies, living at home with family, the soul must recite, I am a soul, I am a soul, while eating, drinking, and doing daily chores. Become soul conscious and realize that the soul is the master of your mind and body. The soul resides in the center of your forehead between your eyebrows, and this place is called the third eye. This knowledge and understanding will enable you to concentrate on your soul. In order to become soul conscious, the soul will need power. The quality of the soul has fallen and become negative. It is covered with many layers of the physical body, astral body, and the causal body. For self-realization, the soul must emerge from these layers. Anantaji says, Bapuji, we live in a world full of ego. Ego creates ignorance, so we live in ignorance and we die in ignorance. We are happy living in ignorance. You once told us a story about a piglet who is happy living in mud. A human soul is happy in the physical world in which it is trapped. It has the power to rise above this state of mind. Why does it not realize the power it has to overcome it? This is the most challenging task for the soul. Bapuji replies, when a human being becomes a social animal, it does not think about self-realization. First, he needs to overcome his fear of people. The fear of others inhibits soul consciousness and self-realization. Fear itself is such a big topic that we should make another video on it. People are more afraid of what their relatives think than their fear of God. In addition to this, their desires and expectations have also increased. They want higher living standards and more material wealth. If a person has one car, the other person wants 2 cars. They are more concerned with showmanship and copying others. They have desires to become doctors or engineers, and half their lives are lost in trying to pursue these materialistic goals. Anantaji says, there is so much focus on the physical body and desire to succeed in their profession. There is no focus on the soul. Bapuji replies, from worldly education, individuals become doctors and engineers, but they still don't recognize who they really are and where they have come from. If they attain self-realization from childhood and complete both worldly and cosmic education in soul consciousness, then they will become good doctors and engineers much faster. Anantaji says, knowledge of the soul is the means by which to overcome ignorance. Bapuji replies, the dark shadow of ignorance is everywhere. High-quality souls wander around from one religious guru to another, looking for divine knowledge, but they don't find it. Gurus don't have the divine knowledge and scare people into worshipping them instead. People want to immerse themselves in the sea of divine knowledge, but they can't, as they don't know what the divine knowledge is. Anantji says, there is another question that arises here, Bapuji. Do souls enter the cycle of birth and death due to a lack of knowledge of self-realization, or is karmic bondage responsible for reincarnation? Bapuji replies, we have a video, The Theory of Karma, that explains the cycle of birth and death. Anantji says, we also have very good videos, Life After Death, Parts 1 and 2. However, I would still like to ask you that until a soul attains self-realization, will the cycle of birth and death continue? Bapuji replies, one must understand the following knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita. Become soul conscious and remember me, the Almighty Authority, and I will destroy all your sins, and in the end I will take you to the supreme abode. In order to end the cycle of birth and death, one must be free from its good and bad karma. Self-realization is the first step towards this. Anantji says, following on from this, Bapuji, my next question is it possible to leave the cycle of birth and death without destroying our good and bad karma? Bapuji replies, if your soul desires it, it is possible even in one lifetime. The soul should remain in soul consciousness at all times. One must watch our self-realization Atma Swarup video and all the other videos too. Immerse yourself in the sea of divine knowledge. An immense amount of knowledge is required by the soul. One will achieve nothing with little knowledge. Anantji says, in present times, people hardly have any knowledge. They need to go beyond their minds to attain soul consciousness and dive into the sea of knowledge. Bapuji replies, for self-realization and soul consciousness, knowledge of the whole world is required. They need to be able to tally signs with the Indian scriptures and go beyond this. You can learn about the infinite solar systems, galaxies, universes, multiverses, how these were created and why they were created, who is the creator, Shiv, Mahashiv, and so on. For soul consciousness, the soul needs the support of God. Self-realization and soul consciousness only happen once the individual knows God. God is the Almighty Authority. If the soul knows who the Almighty Authority is and directly connects with Him, only then will it be able to receive the divine power it needs to attain self-realization. Anantji says, so our past karma have formed our present values and the experiences we endure in our present life, forcing our soul into the cycle of birth and death. Bapuji, by transforming our karma, can we leave the cycle of birth and death? Bapuji replies, if you want to be free of good and bad karma, here is the solution. Within the soul, there is a record of its history and all its past incarnations. There are negative karma and good karma. One has to leave them both behind, otherwise you will have to endure them both. For example, there are people who are very distressed in their present lives and they don't understand why, as they have not committed any sins. However, this is due to their karma from previous incarnations, a record of which has been saved in their soul. When they are faced with these karmas, they become so distressed that they want to scream. Anantji says, people are saying that we are ready for God to come and take us whenever He wants. They say that we are born with God's will and it is up to Him when He wants to take us. So can our soul leave our body according to our own wishes, or do we have to wait for God's will? Bapuji replies, some people say that everything is God's will and we have nothing to do with this. Anantji says, so what else can helpless people do? They don't have any options or a choice. Bapuji replies, those people that do not have any knowledge say that everything happens according to God's will. They say it is up to God to keep us how He wants. Anantaji says yes, they have to say this to keep themselves happy. Bapuji replies, when a distressed soul does not have knowledge of the theory of karma, it consoles itself by believing that it will remain as God wishes. This is whether it is experiencing happiness or sadness. However, knowledge of the theory of karma is required to liberate the soul and to free itself of the cycle of birth and death. Even sages did penance for hundreds of years and did not attain liberation. They were able to open all their chakras and take their astral body out through their 10th chakra. Their astral body wandered around. So for liberation and divine knowledge, the Bhagavad Gita is necessary. Anantaji says, some sages do penance in the Himalayan mountains for many years, and when they return to living amongst people again, they become entrapped and enjoy the pleasures of the material world again. Bapuji, why has God created this materialistic world? Bapuji replies, God hasn't created the materialistic world. Watch our videos, Creation of Universe, History of Universe, and Multiverse. God had created a very nice world. Through Brahma, God created divine angel-like pure beings. Brahma created Saptarishis, which were 7 supreme souls, who in turn created the 7 upper worlds, and who then created 7 stars or solar systems of their own. The Saptarishis were very high-quality angelic souls. However, through their thought power, they constantly created to such a great extent that they lost much of their divine power in the process. The angel-like souls of that original creation became deities, and through loss of further power became humans. Anantaji says, don't rely on God. God might be relying on you. You must help yourself. Bapuji replies, stay connected with God while doing your daily duties. Sometimes I think very deeply about our Somnath temple and our Ram temple. The Muslims destroyed thousands of our Hindu temples. Was God happily watching these temples being destroyed and the wealth from them being looted? I used to think about this a lot. Then I gradually understood the theory of karma and the workings of the physical and astral worlds. I understood the knowledge of the whole universe. This understanding came to me when I was in a soul-conscious state and connected with God. Until you receive the power from God, you will not be able to become soul-conscious. Anantaji says, when does self-realization happen in a person's life? Is the time for self-transformation fixed beforehand? Bapuji replies, nowadays people think that they will worship God when they are in their old age. The reward for worshipping God is receiving knowledge. What is knowledge? Knowledge of the soul and God is called spiritual knowledge. Through spiritual knowledge, one has learned about the soul, but not how to become soul conscious and remember God. One has to learn how to connect the soul with God while in a soul conscious state. All the answers to these questions are given when the soul is in a soul conscious state. Self-realization happens during soul consciousness. Anantaji says, is it possible after a person reaches adulthood? Bapuji replies, in earlier times, our children attended residential schools living with gurus in the jungle, where they received a worldly and a cosmic education. Up until the age of 25 years, they were taught basic concepts about the soul and God and how to meditate. Following this, they would get married and live a family life until the age of 51 years. Then from 51 until 75 years old, they would leave family life and go to the jungle for self and God realization. After the age of 75 years, they would become recluses. Anantaji says, so our destiny is not decided beforehand? Can we change it? Bapuji replies, who decides your fate? Why is everyone's fate different? Anantaji says, according to your karmas. Bapuji replies, everyone's fate is different according to the theory of karma. The Bhagavad Gita states, Karmanye vadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, which means that you have the right to work only, but never to its fruits. Let not the fruits of action be your motive, nor let your attachment be to inaction. Anantaji says, We filmed a very good video called Is Your Fate Greater Than Your Karma? Bapuji replies, yes, that was a very good video. Anantji says, everybody please watch that video. It is on our channel, as I do not wish to use up too much of Bapuji's precious time on that topic now. Bapuji, please advise what could help people in their quest for self-realization. Bapuji replies, out of all the Indian scriptures, the Bhagavad Gita is the most sacred book with the highest level of knowledge for all souls. The Almighty Authority has said in the Gita, become so conscious and remember me, the Almighty Authority. I will destroy all your sins, and in the end I will take you to the supreme abode. You will not just be liberated, but attain salvation. Please watch our video on liberation and salvation. Everybody must also watch my video on how to attain soul consciousness, and then become so conscious while living a normal family life. Krishna was the incarnation of the Almighty Authority. Know the Almighty Authority and the powerhouse that it is. Connect with the powerhouse and receive knowledge and power from it. Anantji says, so you are saying that self-transformation is possible. We have two options. It is up to us if we want to be like an animal or be like God. We must overcome our negativities and embrace good qualities by focusing on our soul. This change is possible if we leave the material world behind and become soul conscious. Bapuji replies, they must silence the mind. The Gita states, forget everything and come under my shelter. Know me, the Almighty Authority. Anantji says, when Lord Krishna gave Arjun the divine knowledge, Arjun asked Lord Krishna if there was any knowledge left for him to receive. Lord Krishna replied, forget all the knowledge that I have given you and come under my shelter. Bapuji replies, Lord Krishna said one thing, first become so conscious and then remember me, the Almighty Authority. Know the Almighty Authority in his original form. He lives in the highest of the highest supreme abode. Become so conscious and take power from him so that your soul becomes very powerful. The soul will change from darkness and negativity into its purest original form. From a soul, it will change into a supreme soul of the infinite world and attain self-realization. Then it will slowly start spreading the knowledge and have positive thoughts for world transformation. Anantji says self-realization and God-realization is possible, but the individual must start this process of self-transformation. Self-transformation will lead to world transformation. Bapuji replies, yes, it is definitely possible. The soul has immense power to change the world. The soul itself does not realize how much power it has. Anantji says, thank you very much, Bapuji, for sharing your wonderful knowledge with us and for your great answers to all of our questions. I would like to advise everyone to watch our Unspoken Truth playlist. Our channel has over 1,700 videos available. Watch, share, like, and comment on these videos so that they can reach as many people as possible. This will enable more people to gain knowledge of the soul, attain self-realization, and transcend into the infinite world for world transformation. Please also spread Bapuji's most powerful mantra of infinite peace. बेहद की परम शांति, सोचो बोलो परम शांति मिल जाएगी. Meaning, let infinite peace prevail, and so it shall be. If we continually recite this, then our minds, intellect, and values will transform into ultimate peace of the infinite world. Thank you very much, Bapuji. This video is also available in Hindi. The link is in the description box below. Param Shanti.